Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me on The Art and the Artist. I'm your host, LA Phil. And when I started this show, I wanted to make sure that I interviewed artists that create in every medium imaginable. Up to this point, I've only interviewed painters. On this episode, I got to speak with ceramics artist Emmanuel out of the great state of New York. One of the things I like to do in my free time is learn about ancient civilizations. And I am not kidding, I'm dead serious. So when Emmanuel agreed to take this interview, I was so pumped because his craft is one of the oldest art forms in the history of civilized humans. It's great. His skilled craftsmanship and beautifully designed pieces are something worthy of a museum or your own personal art collection. His hand-painted designs and color schemes are executed beautifully. I'm so happy I get to share his work with everyone. So without further ado, I present Emmanuel.
Yeah. There's this thing where if, let's say, someone a civilization is in any country in Africa, you can find just a small similarity to something that's Native American.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if there's research on it, but there's just that one human thing. It don't matter where the continent is. It's just like that one thing. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, because I like to go to the Natural History Museum here in LA, and they have a big, Mayan display. They've had it for years, since I was a kid, actually. And it's always dope seeing that because, there's these people so far removed from you, just by time, and you're getting to see, art. They were just skilled artisans, going from way back. Once they became not just functional, because, making like jars like for holding like, bread, grain, things like that, when it became ornamental and became something beautiful, something that you had to be skilled at. Because this is why I don't think people understand. It's a lot harder than it looks. People see someone, maybe at like a potter's wheel or something, and they think, oh, I can do that. No, you can't do that. It's, it's tough. Have you had that? People telling you, oh, this is, this is something that anyone could do? Because I feel like people will see it and underestimate the skill that it takes to do something like this.
I think the smaller pieces are less intimidating to people. If it's a bigger piece, they'll be like, "Oh, whoa, that's skill." But if it's a smaller one, they'll be like, "Oh, it's not that bad." But until they try it, and they're like, "Oh, what the hell? I can't get it." Then then they understand.
Awesome. Yeah. Then they understood. Yeah, because you tweeted something a while back. If I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head, it was something like, people think that this is a hobby, and no, it's not a hobby. It's
no.
It takes tremendous skill to get something like this done, especially some of the stuff that you post, because I see all of the the different shapes, the different colors, the glazes, and some of the intricate patterns that you put onto some of these things. So when you start to make a piece, I'm not sure if you go in assuming you're just going to make one, or is it a batch of them at the same time and from beginning to end? Because it's hard for me to put a time frame on the start of an idea to the actual finish after you put it in the kiln, fired it, and all of that. So take me from the beginning, the idea that you get it, the whole process until you finish it.
So for the more intricate pieces, I always usually start off with a sketch. Just because, like I said, that was what I did anyway. I always drew. So
I
always draw out the shape, and then I draw the patterns or whatever else I put on it. So for those particular pieces, I always rely on my sketches, and then I work, through the process while I'm working on it. The less intricate pieces, it just really depends on the shape. A lot of those pieces are experimental because I'm always trying new glazes, new combinations to get variations in looks. So those pieces, I just kind of go with the flow. I usually try to stick with the traditional shapes. So I don't try to get too crazy with those that are not as intricate. But it's I kind of separate it in a way.
Okay. So I'm assuming there's like a traditional way of glazing, and because I know you say you like to do experimental stuff, and I follow you on Twitter. I see you, tweeting about it a lot. Is there a certain technique that maybe I wouldn't say discovered, but kind of, fell onto that has been working for you, or is experimenting a little more difficult than it seems to be?
Um, I mostly spray. Like I just take a spray gun and I spray the glazes on. I wouldn't say I've discovered. It's more of just taking what I've seen and then just making it my own.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've seen it. There's one piece where I was blowing bubbles.
Oh yeah.
So for that piece, I've seen other people do it. Usually they just cover the entire piece with the bubble glaze. But I always try to see how I can manipulate it into, into the total piece, not just like cover it entirely. But yeah, I just usually spray. It's usually with the spraying because it's not as thick as if you were to dip it. It's a
Okay.
lot lighter. So for me, it's a little bit more free. I know already because it's a lot less thick. I can be a little bit more,
Okay.
experimental. Like I can spray a little bit more here, spray a little bit less there. So
Okay. So okay. So when you dip it, then it's just one coat over the whole thing. That's it.
yes, yeah, because if you dip and you hold it in there for like maybe a minute, 2 minutes,
Okay.
it's just gonna absorb.
Yeah.
But if you do a quick dip, pour it out, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's why I always like spraying because it's like it's more controlled, at least for me.
So you do use a potter's wheel, right? I'm sorry, I've been versed up on some of the more technical stuff. Do you
No,
ever
you're good.
try? Is it even I guess logical to kind of freehand these things, or are you or do
Yeah,
you just strictly use the wheel?
I've used the wheel because it's more time efficient for me. There are people that are incredible. They are able to just coil,
Yeah,
coil
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Uh-huh.
That's something I don't know if I have in me at least yet.
No,
But
okay.
right now, I'm definitely prefer using the wheel or a kick wheel. So
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Because I saw you on Twitter taking something out of the mold, and I'm thinking to myself, shit, man, if this was me, I would have. My hands are so shaky, I would have broke that thing, immediately, and never would have gone
yeah,
back to that. So is the mold, is that does that save time also, as opposed to using the wheel, or
uh,
it's kind of the
it-
same thing?
so if I made a piece that I liked in terms of the shape, that's a great way of me just being able to reproduce it.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah, and especially for when I want to experiment with glazes,
Mhm.
textures, and things like that, I can always just make a replica of that and then just
Yeah.
try whatever I want on that.
Oh, I
So
see. I've seen you draw these, intricate patterns and shapes like that. So is that, what is it called? Like a lithograph, right? It's you draw it out and then you put it onto the piece that you're working on.
no, I draw it on paper and then I just take a pencil and just draw on
Oh, I see.
clay.
Okay.
So I don't really transfer. I mean it's transferred, but not,
Okay.
I'm
It's not
actually
like,
drawing it on.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
redrawing it on. So
Oh man. Oh, geez. That's even more impressive. Do you have, okay, you say you draw all of these out, right? When it comes to painting, oh geez, so you have to paint it after you draw it on. You hand paint all of these. Oh, and that's
yeah,
a one by one process. There's no, you got to
no,
sit there
it's
and paint
no.
all of them.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man.
My
Oh,
eyes
that's,
my eyes definitely get blurry
yeah.
after. So.
Yeah, because I see some of these patterns that you make, and that's why I thought it was just some sort of like you put the paper on, then you fire it and it sticks to it. But you're hand painting all of these
Yeah,
pieces. Oh
yeah.
man, that's impressive. That is very impressive because that must be extremely time consuming. I mean, to get it perfect.
Yeah, yeah. It
Oh,
takes some time.
that's dope.
Thank you.
Very dope. I have a question, and I'm not sure if this is, something in your wheelhouse or even something that you've ever thought about doing.
Mhm.
3D printing.
Yeah.
Now, would you say 3D printing? I don't want to say cheating because I think it's sort of an art form in itself. But have you ever considered 3D printing as a form of creating?
When I first started to do mold making, I did with a 3D printer.
Oh, did you? Oh, no.
So yeah, to me, I don't look at those kind of things as cheating. Look at it like cooking. Everyone has the
Oh,
recipe. It
yeah,
just
yeah,
depends on how you cook it, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. Oh,
So,
that's right. That's a
I
that's a
don't,
good way to put it.
whatever it suits best for you and your
Yeah.
creativity, as long
Uh-huh.
as you execute it, that's all that matters.
Okay, so are you primarily creating for, because I've seen you've got, jars, some with lids on them and things like that. ornamental pieces or functional pieces, or it's here you go and do with it what you will?
Most of my work is non-functional. Only, like I said, when it's for experiment purposes, I will definitely like leave a hole so that it can be functional. But yeah,
Ornamental.
majority of my work is non-functional.
So when you get to college, you're in Queens College, and you decide, okay, this is what I want to do. Did you have a hard time explaining that? I mean, I'm sure everyone knew already that you were, an artistic guy, and you're going to college. You went to college for, are you an art major or
Yes. Yeah, BFA.
Beautiful. Okay, so when you tell your friends and your family, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm E-Man, the NYC Clayman. Great handle, first of all. That's that's a great Twitter handle. How was that received by the people around you? That, okay, this is what I want to do, and I'm serious about it.
Like I said, they know me, so they see my work. So it's not it's not something out of that they couldn't foresee. They know, because like I said, because I drew a lot, so they know what I like to draw, what my imagination, my field of imagination is. So they understand that, okay, yeah, I can see how you do with clay as well.
Because my dad is an artist, and I wish I could say one discipline that he did, but he did, it was a bunch of things, and he had worked with clay for a long time. And I would see him doing it and just being mesmerized by it. This is why I love following you on Twitter. It's not something that a majority of artists are doing. You know what I mean? I've maybe seen, including you, 3 or 4 people online. Do you think it's not as easy to sell these pieces as it is a painting or digital art?
Well, for me, I've been lucky enough to see people that are painters come into clay. So the only thing with them that I've seen is probably getting past the time that it takes. Because when you're painting, you can finish at your own pace.
Yeah.
With clay, you have stages that you have to go through.
Yeah.
So that's probably the only thing I've noticed where they're like, okay, this is a little bit longer. But I don't think it's really that much difficult for people to get in. Now, if you are trying not to spend as much money, then yeah, that can be a hurdle. Yeah. But if you have those kind of resources, it's just usually the time, that's pretty much it. I think that's why a lot of people don't really try to work with clay, because it's time consuming.
Yeah. From start to finish, and how long would it take from just the idea to pulling it out of the fire?
I would say maybe a week. Like, I want to say just 5 days flat. 5 days. If I had the time, 5 days, I think.
I could imagine that gets lonely then. You're in a shop working by yourself. Well, in college, maybe there's some students that are working with you, but I could imagine, just the hours.
People that own their own studios, it's definitely something that you'll be there. Okay, I come in Monday, Tuesday, I rest Wednesday, back Thursday, Friday.
What is the end goal then for you? What do you see yourself after you graduate college? What do you see yourself doing after that?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get a solo show. Hopefully, I can try to get that. Hopefully, get my own studio as well. Probably open up a community studio.
Oh, that's dope.
Try to expose more Black people to clay, because like I said, usually it's the money. If it's not the time, it's the money.
Real.
That comes with clay. So if I can try to create a studio where it's a lot easier for people to get access to, then I'm definitely going to try to get that done.
Oh, that is dope. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, community studio, because I feel like you said, once people do get, especially young people, everyone takes like a ceramics class for a semester or something like that. Even I did. Even, when I was doing, I was saying, oh, this is dope, but where else am I going to do this? How can I, like you said, it costs money. Just the clay alone, you have to, and if you make a mistake, you got to start all over then. Okay, yeah, a community center would be dope. That's awesome. You know what? If you do get that started, or when you do get that going, you let me know, man. We'll do another one of these. That would be dope. The reason that I wanted to do the show, and one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you in general, is for that exposure, to let especially kids know this is something you can do. When they see some of the stuff that you make, they get, well, I can do that. Let's find a place where we can do it. So is there a scene? Well, you're in New York, and that's one of the biggest, places for art in the world. Is there a community of people that do what you do?
It's pretty much scattered all over. So you have studios in Brooklyn, the Bronx, Manhattan, Queens. So it just depends on where you're at.
Okay.
Some are really artist oriented.
Yeah.
And then others are community oriented. Like, so if you're coming from work and you want to just go to party studio after work, that's a perfect place for you over there. If you're an artist and you want to just have a spot where you can just focus, you can find a spot like that too.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, that's a good thing about a place like New York, because there's just a ton of talented people, very creative, artistic people, and in many different forms, not just art. It's, it's the mecca for a lot of things. Yeah, it's funny. I went to New York for the first time, maybe like three or 4 years ago, something like that. So I was already an adult, and you hear so many things from people in LA about New York. Like, it's too fast. You know what I mean? Everything moves too fast. LA is a little laid back, If you ever take public transportation in LA, like you got to walk fast, right? Because the buses are, it might be 2 blocks away. You got to go catch the next one. So when I got to New York, and everyone was telling me, oh, the people walk, you got to watch out. You can't keep up. Man, I was right in my element, man. It was absolutely perfect. It was one of the best vacations I ever took. I surprised it took me so long to get there, but yeah, I love it out there in New York. So let's say, all right, you're done with college, you got your studio. Are you planning on staying based in New York?
I would definitely try to stay in New York and just try to get my work in different areas. But if I gotta travel, I gotta travel.
I had this thought, if I were you ever thought about maybe going to, let's say, somewhere where this is still really, really a part of the community, like maybe somewhere, I don't know, a country in Africa or in Asia. I believe China is where they found the oldest pottery, something like that, maybe to learn the way that they do things, or different techniques, or something like that.
There is a ceramicist, I want to say her name is Winnie. Man, I have to send you the link, but she does a trip where she takes a group of people and they go, I think it's Ghana, they go and they do some pottery over there. So they have people from the village, they show them how they do it. So that one, yeah, I'm tired, I can't remember her name, but I'm gonna send you her name.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Where can people find you though? Do you have a website, or is you strictly on Twitter right now?
I am working on a website, but they can find me on Twitter, and then I have a Instagram, it's Libra Ceramics.
So you primarily use clay. Now I know there are different sorts of like compositions that you can work with. Have you ever tried out any of these other ones? Maybe like porcelain, or correct me if I'm wrong. Heating them at different temperatures creates a different composition in the way that it heats up. Is there just one way that you do things, or are there different types of ways that you do it?
So the clay that I've shown on Twitter is mostly stoneware.
Okay.
So I have tried porcelain. The only thing is porcelain is difficult to throw with.
Oh, okay.
So if you're hand building, it's not as bad, but if you're throwing, you have to kind of get used to it. It takes a little bit to get used to. I've tried porcelain. I've tried darker clay bodies where it kind of gets almost black. Like it's a very, very, very dark brown. It's a beautiful clay body. If anybody ever wants to try something besides porcelain and you want to try to get to something that's like that, I recommend that. And there's earthenware. So I think I've pretty much tried all clay bodies so far. So yeah, but I prefer stoneware right now.
Stoneware's your favorite. Okay. For someone who wants to try it out but maybe doesn't have the money, what would be the cheapest material to buy if they want to experiment?
You can buy a box. It's just to fire it, to find a studio that will fire it for you. Because most studios, they do it by length and width. So if it's a small piece and it's like maybe you got 50 small pieces, as long as it's like the same height, it won't be as bad. But if you want to do it as continuously, then you'll be like, oh yeah, it's a little bit expensive. Things like that. So
because the temperature's got to be pretty high when you fire these things, right? It's not
Yeah,
like people can throw them in their oven and, and expect for them to cook.
it gets to like 2,000
Oh
degrees.
man. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty hot.
Okay. So would that be then the most that would be a hindrance for someone then? It's getting to a place where they can fire these things then. That's the okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, like for New York, I don't know. I think it's pretty much like the same with LA as well. But in New York, is tight to find a space. If you're
Yeah.
like in Wisconsin or something, like
Yeah.
it's more open. You can build your own kiln if you
Oh,
wanted.
yeah.
But in New York, it's just like where are you gonna build it?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's
Unless
got to be
unless you
indoors
own
somewhere.
yeah, unless you own a house and then you got a nice, decent enough size backyard,
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah. 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 You're gonna have to go somewhere to get it done. Okay.
Mhm.
Do you ever make to order, upon request, or is it usually people seeing some of the stuff you have and buying it as is?
Well, lately it's whatever I post, and if
Okay.
people like it, they're like,
Yeah.
you selling it? Then I'm like, yeah, it's
Okay.
available. I mean, most of the work that I've posted are available. So
What's the biggest piece you made? Because I saw some video, some dude making this giant piece, and I could imagine you posted it. I might have. I'm not sure if you posted it to Twitter, but it was some dude making this piece that was almost the size of him. Have you ever considered making something that large before?
only if I have the space.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So
Yeah. Yeah. You need
if I made a piece that's like as big as me,
Yeah.
like as a human, as a person, it just is space.
Yeah.
Anything else is pretty much like maybe like the size of a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's as big as I will go.
Yeah. And it's
Anything bigger,
practical. Yeah.
yeah, anything bigger than that, I'm not trying to do because I know if it's not sold or if I'm not giving it, it's just
Yeah.
like it's taking up space.
As far as the colors though, when you're painting them, I'm assuming it's a spray also when you paint them, or are you
Yeah,
hand painting? Or if it's like a just one complete color, not some of the patterns that you make.
if it's one complete color, then I just spray it. So in ceramics, there's a thing called underglaze, and
Okay.
that's you can kind of equate that to like acrylic paint. So if you
Okay.
see an underglaze that's red and you
Yeah.
fire it, it's gonna stay red.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So if you want to take red and blue and make it get purple, you can
Uh-huh.
do that in
Okay.
ceramics or underglazes. So some colors I would definitely mix to try to get an exact shade.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah.
Okay. So I see you made some without the glaze, or maybe my eyes are deceiving me. You have this one. It's kind of like a rainbow colored uh piece on it, and it doesn't have that sheen on it. Now, if it's not glazed, you
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. So if it's well, I guess if they're not functional, it doesn't matter. But the glaze helps. Like if you're going to make something that people can use, the glaze will
That
help.
was like
Okay. All right. But yeah, because that rainbow one was dope. I was like, and I think it looks great without the glaze too. That looks all it looks like a cloud. Okay. All right. There's one thing I wanted to talk to because I noticed you're a sports fan. What's going on with these Knicks, man? Well, how come they bench Kemba Walker? What happened?
man, it it's sad because as a New Yorker you want him to succeed because he's a New Yorker. The coach, he is what he is. Kemba, if his knees I think were better, um I think it would be fine, but I don't know. I think the coach, he's being cautious, not just because of his defense, because a lot of people don't play defense. So I don't, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna hold Kemba to like, oh, he needs to be an outstanding defender. But I think if his knees were a little bit better, I think the coach would just be like, okay, I take your
Yeah.
offense over your
Yeah.
inconsistencies on defense. So
All right.
yeah.
Yeah. I had to get one sports question as well. Well, I'm looking forward to what you got coming in the future, man. I thank you again for taking the time to talk to me, man. This is
No,
great.
thank
And
you, man. I appreciate it.
no problem. And anything else you got going on, you let me know. You come right here. We could do another one of these, man. I'm very excited for what you got coming for us in the future. Now, where can the people reach you at? Say your handles one more time so that people can check out this fantastic art of yours.
my Twitter handle is NYC Clayman, and my Instagram handle is Libra Ceramics.
All right, awesome. All right, how much time do you have left at Queens College? When are you all done with this?
Spring.
Oh, so you are almost. Oh, well, congratulations, man. That, first of all, just going to college in general, that is a dope accomplishment, man. I don't think it gets bigged up enough. And to get there and to know what you want to do and to see it through, like I said, you're done in this. That's super close, man. All right. That's dope. Yeah, man. I just want to say congratulations to you, brother. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Any last parting words you want to give to the people out there? Maybe someone who's thinking about doing ceramics and maybe doesn't see it as a viable future for them.
It is definitely a viable future. I always, if you're an artist or you're just a hobbyist, always get your hands in everything that you can. You know, it's no harm. Clay is really one of the best mediums. I'm not just saying that because I'm in it, but I'm just saying it really is one of the best mediums. It's a great way of bringing what you imagine to life.
Yeah.
You know, 2D is fantastic, but it's still flat.
Yeah.
When you're doing it with clay, it's 360. You can do, you see it. Yeah. It's exactly what you imagine. So it's perfect for that.
There's no limits to it. All right.
No
well, yeah, one more question though. Do you think there's a freedom to doing this? Because when I talk to a lot of painters, you know, especially ones in college, it's the teachers say, okay, we're studying this. You got to do it this way, exactly how it is, or, you know, or you're doing it wrong. Do you think there's more of a freedom when it comes to ceramics?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a freedom. You know, I don't know every other institution, but I think for most professors, ceramicists, I think they want you to express yourself. Yeah. You know, if you just want to make like a series of teapots, they'll be more than willing to help you. They'll show you examples from past, present. So yeah, as long as you know what you want to do with clay, then go for it.
Yeah, awesome, man. The sky's the limit. All right, all right, cool. Thank you again for taking the time. I see you, like I said, you're at work. Go get back to work, creating magnificent pieces. Everybody, Eman, thank you so much.
All right, I appreciate this so much, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.